All right, today we're diving into an ancient military philosophy. It's all about the art of winning by mastering the gap between what your opponent thinks you're going to do and what you actually do. It's all about surprise.
Okay, so let's jump right in with a puzzle that sounds, well, impossible. Imagine you're a general. You've got to get your army across a heavily guarded river. But here's the catch. All you have is some wood and a bunch of clay pots. How do you do it? This was the real-life challenge facing one of history's absolute legends, General Han Xin.
So here's the setup, an unsolvable problem. We've got Han Xin versus the Wei army. The year is 205 BC, and Han Xin's job is to get his army across the enormous Yellow River to invade the Wei kingdom. The problem? His enemy knew he was coming and was completely dug in.
Right, so this was the standoff. Han Xin's army needs to cross, but the Wei army, led by a general named Bai Zhi, has this thing on lockdown. They fortified the main, most obvious crossing point at a place called Pubon. They've gotten rid of all the boats on the river, and they've got constant patrols. I mean, it looked like a total fortress. Seemed like there was just no way through.
Yeah, a direct attack? That would have been absolute suicide. It's exactly what the Wei army was expecting. So what do? I mean, when the obvious path is completely blocked, where do you turn? Well, you go back in time to a piece of wisdom that's about 2,500 years old.
And that brings us to Sun Tzu's ancient secret, the power of Qi and Zheng. The answer to Han Xin's puzzle is hidden right inside Sun Tzu's masterpiece, The Art of War. It all comes down to two concepts. Zheng, that's the direct force, and Qi, the indirect force.
Sun Tzu put it this way. He said, sure, you can use the direct method, the Zheng, to start a fight, to engage your enemy. But to actually win, for that, you're going to need indirect methods. You need the Qi. The unexpected move is what secures the victory.
So let's break this down. Zheng is the orthodox. It's the conventional, the expected. Think of your main army charging straight ahead. Qi, on the other hand, is the unorthodox. It's the surprise, the sneak attack, the flanking maneuver. You could think of it like this. Zheng is the big, obvious shield you show your enemy. But Qi is the hidden dagger. And the real magic here isn't just having both. It's all about how they work together.
Okay, so this theory has like 3 layers. The first 2 are pretty straightforward, right? All tactics are either Qi or Zheng, and they're always changing. But look at that third one, mutual creation. This is where it gets really mind-bending. It means they can literally become each other. That big frontal assault you're launching, it might just be a distraction, a Qi move in disguise. And that little surprise attack you planned, that could end up being the main battle. It's like a circle with no beginning and no end. And that constant flow, that's what creates endless possibilities.
So to really get why this is so powerful, let's look at the flip side. What happens when you have only Zheng? You know, when you have a strong, direct plan, but it's completely rigid. Let's check out a cautionary tale from much more recent history.
I'm talking about the Maginot Line. After World War I, France built this massive, supposedly impenetrable line of concrete forts. It was a perfect example of a powerful, static zone defense. They spent 12 years and a staggering 5 billion francs on it. I mean, this thing was the definition of an ultimate direct defense.
And then what happened? Well, in 1940, the German army just went around it. They attacked through the Ardennes forest, a place everyone thought was impossible to pass with an army, a classic Qi maneuver. And just like that, the entire incredibly expensive Maginot Line was completely useless. It's such a perfect illustration of the danger of rigid thinking. The French were so locked into their direct defense that they couldn't even imagine an indirect attack was possible.
Really, the key to their defeat was simple. They had all the Zheng in the world, but no Qi. They failed to embrace change. And that brings us right back to Han Xin, staring across the Yellow River. He absolutely knew, he could not afford to make that same mistake. So now we get to Han Xin's masterstroke. Let's see how he brought Qi and Zheng to life, and how he used this ancient philosophy to pull off a legendary victory in a situation that looked completely hopeless.
Okay, this is just genius. Look at how he did it. First, he created a fake Zheng. He gathered all his boats and banners at that main crossing point, Pubon, and made a huge, noisy show of preparing a massive frontal attack. The Wei army, of course, focused all their attention right there. But while they were watching the show, Han Xin secretly marched his real main force 100 miles north to a totally unguarded spot. There, his soldiers built those makeshift rafts, the Qi move, and crossed the river without anyone knowing. And then, bam, the decisive blow. They hit the Wei capital from behind, catching them completely by surprise. The Wei king was captured, and his army just fell apart.
And even the way he crossed was pure Qi. These things were called mu ying, or wooden pot rafts. I mean, think about the creativity here. No boats, no problem. His soldiers just lashed timbers together and tied sealed clay pots inside the frame to make them float. It was such an ingenious, totally unconventional solution to what looked like a deal-breaker of a problem. And this is where it all comes together. See, that big, obvious Zheng attack, the feint, was actually the cover. It was a Qi move to deceive the enemy. And the surprise Qi attack, that became the main, decisive battle. It became the new Zheng. This is exactly what Sun Tzu meant by Qi and Zheng mutually creating each other. Han Xin made himself completely unpredictable.
Okay, so what's the big lesson here? It's all about flexibility. And this isn't just about ancient battles. This is a really powerful way to think about strategy that you can apply to pretty much any challenge you can think of. So let's boil it down. What can we take away from this? First, true strength isn't just about raw force. It's about mental flexibility. Second, your most obvious move can be the perfect smokescreen for what you're really doing. And third, that crazy, unorthodox idea could actually become your main path to success. The key is to never let your opponent or your competitor predict your next move. Honestly, being able to switch between the direct and the indirect, the expected and the surprise, that's a genuine superpower in any field. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. In your own life, in your own challenges, whether it's at work or in a personal project, when everyone, and I mean everyone, expects you to take that direct path, what's your key? What's your surprise move? Because at the end of the day, the most powerful strategy is always the one that nobody ever sees coming.